O tēnā tata katoa, te tuatahi I mihi atu ki a rātou ko whetū rangitia, haere atu rātou ope koe atu ki o mātua tūpuna. Tuarua I mihi atu kia a te koro matua, Max, me te tumu whakarai Tanya. O te rā kia tātou katoa. O te rā tātou katoa. Te tuatahi ka inu, o reira kia inu I tātou. Whakatakata hau ki te uru, whakatakata hau ki te tonga, kia mākina ki uta, kia mātaratara ki tai. E hi ake ana te atakura, he teo, he huka, he hau hu. Nō reira tihei mauri ora. Tēnā tata katoa. Welcome to the monthly meeting. Tēnā koe Jeff.
Tēnā koe.
As well. Nō reira tēnā ka pai. The only apologies I have is from Jeff. Any other kōrero, Cole? All good? Apologies? Apologies? No? Okay. So Jeff, good. Public forum, there's no items. So paina tera. Any late items, please?
There is the one email that came through from Stephanie Green for an application for funding. So if the committee would like to consider that today, you're able to in the discretionary fund.
Yes, thanks for that, Tony. Well, I will refer that to the discretionary fund when you come to the end of our meeting. Hi. Any declaration or conflict of interest?
I could have a potential conflict of interest with the application for Kāwhia Order Fitness Club.
You
My
do?
Robert.
Okay, noted. And can we go through the confirmation of minutes for the last hui? Did everybody read the minutes from the last meeting?
Couple of changes.
Yes.
Under the heading Public Forum on page 13, speaker number 5 should read Yvonne Hawkes, not Yvonne Hawker. If we can get that changed. And I wondered, in terms of the Kāwhia Beach access, the legal status, whether you wanted to talk about that now or later in the meeting.
We'll talk about that later in the meeting.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Right. Anything, Richard?
No,
Nothing. Bye. Dave?
No, nothing. Thanks for just
Okay.
reading the minutes. Now how to get my emails. I've been trying to get my password from Trevor and it just hasn't been working. So.
Oh, well, we'll follow up with that with Trevor. We'll make a note of that. Okay.
Yeah, and then when I do ring up again, he's not at work that day. I try the next day and he's still off somewhere else.
Oh,
So it's been just a circus.
Okay, we've made a note of that, Dave, and we will follow that up with Trevor. Anything, Jeff?
No, nothing from me. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, move second. That one.
Yeah. Can I have a mover for that one? Richard
Yes.
and second, yeah. Kit, a second and move. Thank you.
Just to just conflict, you might want to clarify if he wants to abstain from the voting or what he wants to do with that conflict. So maybe just check with him before you.
With the conflict of interest, Jeff, did you want to abstain or how did you want to?
Oh, I'm happy to speak to the motion if that's okay, but I'll if I need to abstain from voting, I will.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll go into the Ngā Pūrongo Whakatau and item 32. Kāwhia fees and charges increases for the 2025-26 financial year. Can everybody see your papers in front of you? Kelly Graham.
Yeah, thanks, Helen. So these are the recommendations that have come from the workshop that was held on the 11th of March. So it's just in two parts. Firstly, around the Kāwhia wharf fees, there was direction given at that workshop that berthage fees and the shed rental fee should all increase by 15%. And so that's the new table there in terms of that recommendation. In terms of item B, what that would look like. Those charges are all exclusive GST. So Tahara Iron Sands would go from 6630 to 7625. All other berthage fees per boat would go from 869 to 1,000, and the sheds would go from 978 to 1125. So further down in the report, where you'll see financial 6.6, the changes to the Kāwhia wharf charges would generate around another $2,000 in revenue. The second part is, I guess, the fees that relate to the hall here. So they're just minor changes. It's really just simplifying what was quite a complex set of charges with up to 4 hours and up to 8 hours, etc. So that's just changed to effectively a half day, a full day, and then just the board supper room for both private groups and community groups that are half price. So yeah, happy to take any questions on those. With the wharf charges, what we would do, I guess once they're adopted by council, we would then just probably email all of those charter boat owners just to notify them that the charges have increased by 15%. Yeah.
So how many of the charter boats are paying at the moment?
They're all paying now.
Oh,
They're all paying now, Dave. You know, like it's been a bit of a mission, and I think I wasn't at the workshop, but I guess with the sheds, we've got like I guess sort of like a hire agreement there, so we've got something that we can use if they don't pay. Yeah, the berthage fees, they're all paying now.
How long has that been going?
Oh, look, it's taken. And they paid all their arrears, so it's probably taken 2 or 3 years to get them all up to date. But we're in a good position, and I think an increase of 15% is pretty palatable. You know, if we were to double it or triple it, you know, they'll probably stop paying again. You know, and we actually don't have a lot of teeth to collect those berthage fees. And I think Brendan may have talked at the workshop. I mean, we would actually have to have like a bylaw in place to actually give us some legislative authority to actually collect those. So, which is quite a complex way of doing it. So I think a moderate increases each year is probably a better way to go.
So just through again, Chair. So there's all that money from that berthage or wharf, I think, that all goes into a separate account and is put away for maintenance on the wharf?
Absolutely. Yep. Stays within the wharf account. And that's basically it's ring fenced.
Right, thank you.
Fine. I'll come to you, Richard.
Yeah, just a question. The as far as the wharf charges and that go to the wharf users, does that give them any priority on charge use on the wharf usage? Or I've had a couple of people approach me and say that initially the pontoon was put in place by community fundraising, basically for the children and whatever of the public community of Kāwhia to use. But now it's been, and I explained to me, it's been overtaken by fishing boats and whatever else.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, are these charges are we giving them some priority, or does the intent of that pontoon still stay that it's open for public use for the children to enjoy and all the rest of it? So I just wanted to, is there a contractual thing?
Yeah, no, there's no contractual arrangement with them at all, no, and I don't believe that gives them any priority. You know, I'm not sure how things work down there.
So again, Chief, all I see there is a bit of sour grapes and so we've got nothing really. The boats are there in the morning, they're gone before anyone gets down there fishing.
No.
They're just in there for just drop off times and wash the boat, and then they're gone again. I don't really see that they hinder anybody using it to any real extent.
No, I agree with you, Dave. I'm just trying to make the point that the initial fundraising for the pontoon and all that was done with the public in mind. I'm just trying to make sure that the public in mind is still being in part of that process. That's all.
So
far as I'm aware, it's a public asset, as Graham said. There might be some health and safety considerations. If they've got cranes or gantries or something, they might need to close it off while they're loading or unloading potentially, but that's
the market say, I think,
there was one kid, I think you mentioned it, like at the moment with those berthage fees, I think it's, Leon Lawrence has got one of the trawlers there. He's paying a berthage fee, but I think you said there were two trawlers.
Yeah, there's three out there at times.
I mean,
I don't know who they all belong to.
yeah. I mean, like if we were going to charge them, we'd need some details of who they are. And
I think he doesn't use one of them. One's up for sale, or coming up for sale, but he uses the other two.
So is he actually paying anything for that?
Leon Lawrence. Yeah. He's paying berthage, and he's also got a shed as well.
So where does he show under?
So he's under. I think from memory, Dwight Penny has 3 charter boats.
Yeah.
So he's paying for 3, and then Robert Fitzgerald, he's got 2. I think he's possibly only paying for 1. He's got a shed. Wade's got a shed, and they're paying actual power usage as well. Which they've got little meters on the sheds now. We read those meters every 6 months. I think Dwight Penny uses most. Must have an ice maker or something in there, and he uses quite a bit of power.
What about is there any water charges going, or it will be metered, and we're going to be facing charges soon? What's the story down there?
Yeah. There's a. We did have a look at that, and there is a connection on the wall, but the usage was minimal, and so. Yeah, probably not enough to try and aggregate out who's actually using the water.
Well, just about need a separate meter for each user, wouldn't you? Yeah.
So the berthage fees then include their water use thing now?
It would do, yeah.
That's how we look at it.
It'll be nice.
Graham, just a point of clarification, the headings there, you've got private commercial group and then non-profit community group. What do you mean by, or what's meant by non-profit community group?
It's like in Harum, when they do dishing out the groceries and all that, isn't it? That's what we're looking at there.
What's that? Sorry?
How Annie gives the groceries away.
This is for the hall.
Yeah. She didn't give them away on the wall.
No. No. So those headings only relate to the community centre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions for Graham? Kit, to do with his report?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everyone's comfortable that everyone who uses the wharf is paying for it. So I guess that's why we have on a number of occasions raised the issue of the trawlers. So if you're comfortable that the only trawler that's operating is actually paying a berthage fee, then I guess that's about as good as we're going to get, I guess.
Yes,
Just the Tauranga Sands boat seems to be paying a hell of a lot compared to the others. Reason for that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's historical, isn't it? It always has done. And I think we've had attempts over the years to try and align the other berthage for the charter boats to bring that up to what Tauranga Sands we're paying, and that's when things started to go. They all just stopped paying. At one stage there, we'd increased the fees to about $3,000 a boat, and then they all stopped paying. So
taken up.
It's not easy to collect, I can imagine. I think that we should be. Sorry, David. I think that we should be mindful. Like that is an industry, and it is employing people in Kāwhia, and that's pretty important to us. So there'll be swings and roundabouts, but if they finish to pay, why didn't we stop them using it? And this is before my time. I'm just a query.
Well, I mean, that just comes down to policing it. I mean, that's the we send out an invoice in Tauranga, so I mean, it's pretty,
you rely a lot on goodwill and honesty there, and the Taharoa one, I think probably there was an element there of goodwill towards the community, supporting, knowing that they have from time to time, they have that heavy crane out on the wharf.
Originally too, the whole crew was Kāwhia based. Everyone lived here, not.
That's right. So, I mean, and they're only going up by about $20 a week. I can't see that's being an issue for them. So we don't have a problem with that. The only thing I would ask them, Graham, is that, and it'll come up later in the meeting, is that we're talking about a community board out here. We've asked on a number of occasions if we can have a schedule of the fees and charges that relate to the community centre put up on the window there, so that people. So can we make sure that that happens, and so there is a schedule of fees and charges, and there's also a contact person or number, so that people, if they want to book or got queries, they know who to go to.
That shouldn't be a problem.
That may link into the next report from Nikki about the display board.
That's what I was referring to.
Well, Nikki's on, she hasn't given her report yet. Any other questions for Graham before I come to Jeff?
No, just with regard to the wharf, I think it's costing $150,000 a year to run that wharf, and there's only $20,000 worth of income coming in through it. So I think there's $50,000 worth of maintenance required this year. So I think we'll never recover enough from the users for that wharf. But no, I think gradual increases are better than the heavy-handed approach used last time.
I think there's a fair chunk of district rates going there. The wharf as well, Jeff. I think it's
about a third, I think, Graham, isn't it?
Yeah. And can I ask you, Madam Chair, Graham, the depreciation reserve account for the wharf, is that in credit or is that?
Oh, it will be. It will be. I just haven't got that on the.
No, that's all right. So the renewals that Jeff's just referring to, the 50,000, that'll come out of the reserve.
It should be enough in there to fund all a part of that. And if there's any renewals, it would generally be, if it wasn't sufficient in depreciation reserve, we would loan fund it. So nice to rate funding.
Very good.
Thank you. Well, thanks, Graham, for your report. Can I have a mover, please? Richard, and a seconder, Dave. Kia ora. Okay, we'll go on to the item 33, new community notice board proposal. Tēnā koe, Nikki.
Tēnā koe, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Through the chair, through the chair. Have we just passed the community centre charges as well, have we? The other part of Brown's report was the community hall charges.
It was part of your
That was part of the Graham's report.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, I just hadn't heard the discussion. That's all I thought. Whoops. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Haere tonu, carry on. Kia ora, Nikki.
Kia ora, everybody. Good afternoon. Nice to see you all, and I'm glad that the sound is fantastic from this end. I have to say, sounds excellent. So I'm happy to take my report as read. A little bit of information, extra background information. It was a really fantastic moment to get invited by Principal Lindsay at the college to come in and brainstorm some ideas about how rangatahi could be involved in a little deeper and more meaningful ways into the community. And we had a bit of a brainstorm of different things on the table, and this project was the one that immediately floated to the surface for them as having potential. So I'd like it to put it forward for your consideration, and I'll hand it back to you and open up the space for questions and discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kia ora, Nikki. Oh, well, we'll start with you, Jeff.
Oh, okay. Yep, fine. Nikki, this is the first approach to the board you've done for this one, is it?
That's correct.
Is it? But we need to make a decision on this at this meeting, do we?
That is completely up to you.
Is it? Okay. Because it's a fair chunk of what's left of our community board funding. It's half of what we've got left.
Mm-hmm.
And that's without looking at some of the other applications that we're going to have start coming through prior to the. If we get a bit of a rush coming through towards the June window,
Mm-hmm.
So if we have a chance to put this on hold while we have a look at some of the design brief and some of the other funding options for Otrahonga College.
Sure. I mean, you could do that. What that will affect is this is tied to the school curriculum. So it's not something, the curriculum just rolls along. And if we choose to get on board, we get on board. If it sinks, so it is a time-sensitive decision. But all is not lost. If we don't get on that train this year, it could have possibilities for next year.
Because I would like to see a design brief, some idea rather than just giving out 2,000, which is half of our discretionary fund.
May I ask, when you say design brief, what do you mean?
An idea of what they're doing. At the moment, we just got
Okay.
they want $2,200 to do a notice board.
So you'd be asking for more of a design proposal, so drawings?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Through the chair, I'm just wondering, Jeff, could it be a provisional approval tonight if you want to do that, subject to Nikki coming back with some visuals?
We just need to be very aware that if we get approved, if the board decides to approve the Kāwhia Fitness Club, that brings our fund down to $1,500 for the rest of the year, and out of that we've got to look at the Kāwhia Wellboat, the Kāwhia Kai Festival, and things like that. And it's a fair chunk of money going to Otrahonga College. For
those two examples won't be till next year, though, won't they?
Sorry, yeah, but
Next financial year.
yeah, and then also, given that we'd already talked about a notice board being part of the Kāwhia Aotea Operao concept plan, could that be funded through that rather than our discretionary fund? I'm just loath to use half of our discretionary fund on a notice board. That's all.
There would be other, so you have a number of options there in terms of deciding whether you'd like to move the location, whether you'd like to have it within the hall foyer. So there's other things that if you're interested in optioning those. And then according to level of funding, it doesn't necessarily have to be wholly funded by the discretionary fund, or if at all, we could, if you chose to approve the project in its concept, as in delivered by the college students within that location, then we could work on sourcing other funds for that. But this is the first kind of pitch, so I've come directly to you first.
Understand that. Given that we need a notice board, it's good to have the youth involved in designing that notice board. But I don't want to put the cart before the horse, and we get the notice board in place before we have a location for the notice board. And we're paying an awful lot of money to have someone to have a group design the Kāwhia concept plan and where things are going.
Mm-hmm.
So we just sent a bit horse before the cart, approving funding for a notice board that we need, without knowing what the notice board looks like, how it fits in with the design plans of the next group that are putting through the proposal for Kāwhia community.
Mm-hmm.
That was all. I mean, as a board, we talked about having ad hoc decisions about putting this here and that there, and we all decided, as a good example is the seating around the park. We all came to a consensus that it's best to leave that decision until we get the concept, we get a physical plan from the Aotea Kāwhia Operao concept plan. So that I would prefer that we leave this decision until then, so that we're not having a notice board and then someone's deciding where to put it. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit out of whack.
Kia ora for that, Jeff. Before I come to the rest of the board, I agree with you, Jeff. It would have been good to have seen a proof of design for the notice board. Nikki, like what I've done, I'm just going to use this as an example. I've been working on since last year on the sign as you come into Kāwhia, the slow down sign. Now we're trying to marry in all the design work, because we put the design work on the main road on both ends last year, and then we've got our photo frame. So we're trying to marry in all the design work, which I've done here as well. So I can see, I support where Jeff is coming from. We're just trying to get all our design work, our branding, marry up together. And with the Otorohanga College, they wouldn't know they don't know our design work, what we've got so far as well, if that makes sense.
It does, yes. So
Yeah.
when
Sorry, Nikki. So what I've done is I've actually brought proofs for the board to have a look at, and I think just to follow up what Jeff was talking about, it would have been good to have seen something for us to look at.
So can I confirm that this is so early on in the process that no one has actually been engaged at the college at all to draw or consider or actually make those design proofs or proposals? It's pre that. So what you can do is, if you were interested in this as a proposal and you think that it has potential, is those design elements that you're talking about could absolutely become part of the design process, that you could say, right, we would like the notice board to tie in with this branding, and here it is, or here is, and that's what that list that I've got in the report is a draft list for things for consideration, which you are very, very welcome to feed into, to say this is what we would expect this notice board to consider. And this is, so for example, the color palette or the design or patterns or anything you like could be a part of that. And then that package becomes the design brief that the students will then design options for you to see. So we're so early on the process, we haven't even got to that yet. Yeah.
Through the chair, if I could kick in there, Hinga.
Yes.
I agree with you in terms of we need to keep our concepts close together, okay? So that your ideas of your storyboards and your Kāwhia Moana sign, your 42Ks to Kāwhia, you're working towards an end goal.
Yes.
And we need to be focused on that end goal. And yes, if there's some input from Otorohanga College on some of your ideas, great, but I'm sure, you're doing a great job pulling this all together. And when I talk about ad hoc decisions, I think we need to be careful that this isn't one of them.
And thanks for that, Jeff. And also, there's no mention about size as well. Like what size, like the size of a notice board can make a big difference too as well. So that's something that we'll have to look at. But I'll just continue going around the board for any pārtai. Kia ora, Richard.
Hi, Nikki. First of all, I think it's an excellent idea. And I think the situation that we've got with the notice boards that are around the community is they look like yuck. And I think this is a good move. I personally think going into the foyer is a good idea. And if we can encompass as much community information in that, is good. What I'd like to suggest is that, loading Hinga with something, is that maybe there should be some sort of liaison with Hinga in this process with Otorohanga School, and that should be a formal thing, not just per chance. It's a formal type of liaison. As far as the money goes, I figure we're going to get more money in our account at some stage, but and we really have been a first in, first served type thing. But if we decided to go ahead with the 2-2 now, as long as we had liaison and then had a concept in front of us, would that affect any other funding for when our funding is? I think we get a $5,000 renewal, didn't we, at some point?
1st of July.
1st of July. So that's not too far away. There's going to be another $5,000 flashing around. I take your point, Nikki, that if we don't kick it into gear now, then we wait another year. I don't want to wait another year. And I see at the top of the 4.1 of the discussion document, it says that the Kāwhia and Aotea concept plan identified this as part of that concept plan. Has the idea of what you're suggesting, has that been run past Ross and those people that are directly involved with the concept plan? That was a question for you, Nikki.
Oh, sorry, I was just wondering. Yes, it has. So it's actually come from the concept plan in Ross and also via Sandra. So Sandra, staff member here, who has been organising a lot of that information from the plan. And she actually wrote to yourselves at the board following up that discussion. It was a few months ago. So if you check back through your emails, you see that there was a conversation around community boards and what you'd like to do with them, as you'd identified that as something you would like to address. So Sandra actually proposed that to the college brainstorming session as something that you might like to hear about and follow up as part of that. So yes, it's all tied in and it's all fallen out of that plan.
Anything else, Richard?
No.
All good? Okay, thanks for that, Richard. I'll come to you, Kit.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, I support the concept, and I certainly support the location of it. The only thing that I'm concerned about is about the cost of the materials. $2,000 seems a hang of a lot for some timber and a bit of glass, and I just wondered if we're going to go out and look for funding, whether we can perhaps approach the likes of maybe Timber Company or even Appley's to see whether there'd be any sponsorship for that timber anyway. I think probably in terms of involving or getting it in with the concept plan development, I think that's critical to make sure that we're consistent with the way in which we're doing these things in town. So yeah, you got my support for it. It's just a matter of timing, I think, and funding for me, and making sure that it fits in with your designs. Yep. So if we can get some more information, it would be great.
Thanks for that, Kit.
Thank you.
Fiona, Dave.
Well, I think myself, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's 2-2, still leaves us 2-3 left, and we've got 3 months to spend 2-3. So 2-2's nothing on the program really. Okay, we're going to get another $5,000 up that. We can go towards the fitness, or 2-3 go towards the fitness trail. We're going to want 5 festivals come back, ask for another $1,000, but they got, and then they go back. I said, so really, I think it's affordable. And with the material prices, I looked at the festival and thought, oh, geez, $2,000, but no, it's really, for myself being a worker, that's like 3 days work for me, no materials. So, you know, okay, like a school's doing it, but if you were to give it to a machine shop and do it, the cost would probably be more. So I think so. Yes, I'm supportive of the initiative. So
Thanks for that feedback, Dave.
Just like to see the design first and the size.
Yeah, that's Dave. Okay, I'm going to come to Tony with a recommendation.
So you've got recommendation here from Nikki's 4 recommendations under item 3. Listening to the Kōrero, I'm proposing that these get altered slightly to help you in your decision, and I recommend that you go through each one by one because there's multiple things here. So if I could suggest the first one gets amended to read, and you know, so I'm suggesting amendments, then you come back and vote on them each. So the first one will be approve Aotearoa College to prepare a concept design for a new community notice board. So that would then come back to the council as a concept. I've heard that's what you've asked for. The second one would be as it reads, but then I suggest adding at the end to give you the level of comfort, in principle, subject to a final design. So what you'd be doing there, if you accepted that, is you'd be approving it to go in the foyer, in principle, but subject to your final design. The third one, C, approve the design brief. So that's actually set out in the report. We're not recommending any changes there. 4 can stay as it is. You can vote on that. And I'll suggest another one, E, and that would be that staff report back to KCB on the proposed design and funding request. So that would give you 5 recommendations and you can break them down one at a time.
So did we all hear the 5 recommendations?
Not really.
We can read them out.
Okay, can we read them again, please, Tony?
Did you capture those, Kathy?
Nikki?
Yeah, I did. I got them. That's fine, Tony.
Oh, Kathy?
Just a
Sorry,
minute.
do you want to read them back, just so that it's...
Yeah.
Okay, Kathy, Richard,
Yep, but
Kathy,
it's just finding me the right page, because I had trouble. Okay.
but Kathy's gonna
Talk
read
about
them down.
amendments.
You take make sure Kathy's got the minute.
Kathy's taking the minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask Kathy, if you could read out the recommendations, please.
Sure.
Richard?
Okay. So that the Kāwhia Community Board, A, approve Otorohanga College to prepare a concept design for a new community notice board. B, approve this new notice board be sited in the outside foyer of the Kāwhia Community Hall, in principle subject to a final design. C is the same as in the report, which is approve the design brief, and D, same as in the report, fund $2,240 towards project costs from the KCB discretionary fund, and a new E, that staff report back to KCB on the proposed design and funding request.
I understand that. Does everybody, that's quite clear?
I think all the bases have been covered, but under C, approve the design brief. Would that not be a good place to put in that about a liaise with, hang on.
You could, if you wanted to put in there, if you wanted to have an assurance that there would be liaison, approve the design brief and for staff to liaise with board member Thea on the design.
That would suit
Yeah,
me.
I'm happy with that.
And what we'd need is we need someone to, you'd need to vote on the amendments to the recommendations first. So the board is comfortable with the recommendations, then get the vote on.
On the
accept- yeah,
recommendations,
that's
okay.
right.
Yeah, just one, Tony, the new E, the last word request, was it request?
So if you don't approve the funding today, then that sets it up for Nikki to come.
No, the wording of that.
Request, yes.
Yeah, it was request. I prefer to use the word options, to be honest, because we've talked about possibly getting sponsorship or something for. So if we're looking at other ways in which we can fund it, other than dragging the money out of the discretionary fund, I think that's something that needs to be considered. Yeah.
If the board's happy with that, to make that change.
I'm not sure whether I am. I don't think that coming out of the community fund is going to put the community fund or other projects at risk, based on the fact that in July we're getting $5 grand. I think that was the point you were making. So I'm not sure I'm overly worried about that, to be quite frank with you. It's, I have no problem if we fund the whole lot.
And I think
Is any other, sorry, excuse me, through you, is there any other things that people know about, events or spending that become a discretion fund besides the fitness trail and the kite fest? Is anything
Just the sign
on the
here,
side,
which I will bring in my report.
Well, we have,
Is that going to interfere with that? This 224, is that going to interfere with what you're doing?
Yeah. No. I have not got costings for this. I only got the design work today. Sorry. But I know when we did the signs on the road, it did not come out about this discretionary fund. I'm not too sure.
so we're not.
Through the chair, that would be my question, through the chair, is why does this need to be coming out of discretionary funds? Why can't it come out of parks and reserves? The Kāwhia Moana sign didn't come out of discretionary funds. The roadside signs didn't come out of discretionary funds. Can't this be, if you look at page 27 and 5.8, you say cost for this project could be covered by funding from either the board or ODC or a combination of the both. So, I mean, I agree with the principle of the concept, as long as it fits in with your concept plan around the branding for Kāwhia. But I'm pretty sure that Kāwhia Community Board, the little $5,000 that we get each year to support the Kāwhia community, I don't know that this is the best use for it. Sorry, that's me.
So could I suggest as a way forward, I'm sure that when Nikki brings a report back, she'll include options. Perhaps that last recommendation then could be staff report back to KCB on proposed design and funding options and request. Because there's probably going to be a request there, but it might not be to this value.
Sure.
And then it leaves that flexible.
Yep, and the fact too that the 2240, by the sounds of it, potentially doesn't cover any costs of design. So is that also going to come out of your discretionary fund?
That can be reported back when Nikki comes back.
Well, that could influence the decision one way or the other too, couldn't it? Yep. Okay.
Okay, Kathy, can I just ask that you capture all that corridor? And if we could go through the 5 recommendations, please.
Sure, okay.
And probably get a mover and seconder for
Yeah.
the recommendations. Then
So can we all listen? Because after when Kathy's read the recommendations, I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder to, and if everyone agrees.
for the amendments.
For the amendments. So we're just doing the amendments at the moment. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, so that the Kāwhia Community Board A approve Otorohanga College to design, fabricate and install a new community note. Sorry, I'm reading from the wrong one here. Go back to the drawing board, but the Kāwhia Community Board A approve Otorohanga College to prepare a concept design for a new community notice board. B, approve this new notice board be sited in the outside foyer of the Kāwhia Community Hall in principle, subject to a final design. C, approve the design brief and staff to liaise with board member Few on the design. D, fund $2,240 towards project costs from the KCB discretionary fund. E, that staff report back to KCB on the proposed design and funding options and request.
Thank you, Kathy. Can I have a mover, please? Dave will move it. Can I have,
For the amendments.
this is for the amendments only? A seconder? Thank you. Does all in favour?
So you may want to do it one by one because you've still got a request here for the funding.
Okay,
So I would recommend that you go through each one
okay.
and get the board's approval or not for each one.
Okay, so we're going to go through each there's 5 of them. Kathy, could you please read the first A?
Sure. So that the Kāwhia Community Board A approve Otorohanga College to prepare a concept design for a new community notice board.
Can I have a mover, please? Dave, can I have a seconder? Richard, all in favour? Yeah, okay, can we go to the second?
So B, approve this new notice board be sited in the outside foyer of the Kāwhia Community Hall in principle, subject to a final design.
A mover, please. Kit, seconder, all in favour? The seconder is Richard. All in favour? Aye. Number C, please.
B, approve the design brief and staff to liaise with board member Few on the design.
A mover, Richard. Seconder, Dave. All in favour?
Right.
Thank you, Jeff.
Clarify just not abstain, so that it's abstain because was that
No, that's a different one. D.
D, fund $2,240 towards project costs from the KCB discretionary fund.
A mover, please. Dave. A seconder, Richard. All in favour? Thank you.
Against that one.
Are you against that one?
Yep.
Okay,
If you can note my, I'm voting against it as well.
2240 to me is not the total cost of it if we haven't got the design costs.
okay.
So I think we need to leave the amount out.
Well, you think so, or do you think we say, well, this is how much we're going to fund, and we need to bring the design in and this cost?
You're going to have to bring the design into.
Here's the budget that we've got,
Yeah, I could live
and you
with
have to
that.
bring it into there.
Yeah, we're limited to that, aren't we?
In what way?
2240. Isn't that our limit?
Yeah, but that's without any design work.
Could be more of
But
that.
we're not agreeing to fund any design work. are we?
Tell everybody, I'm just going to go to D again. can we have that read out again, please, Kathy?
Sure. So D, fund $2,240 towards project costs from the KCB discretionary fund.
Okay. Is there a
Other-
mover?
I'd like my revoke called against
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to come to that in a moment. Can I have a, is there a mover?
I'll move it.
Richard's going to move. Is there a seconder?
Did we do this already?
Yes, we're just doing it again.
Oh, yeah.
Seconder is Dave.
Yes.
Opposed?
Yes.
Not in favour is Kit
Yes.
and Jeff.
Correct.
Okay.
It's 3, 4.
So you got, what about you deciding that, then?
So you've got 2 opposed, check who's for, and then whether it's carried or.
Okay, so for myself, I'm going to oppose because I want to see the costs, the final cost first before we make a decision.
So you've got 2 for, 3 against, so it's not carried.
Not carried. Okay, bear with us. E, can I have E read out, please?
Sure. So E is that staff report back to KCB on the proposed design and funding options and request.
Can I have a mover? If there's a mover,
Yeah, I'll move.
Kit will move. Is there a seconder?
Second it will change.
Yeah, Dave will second. All in favour?
Aye.
Everybody's in
Aye.
favour? Carried. Up by. Thank you, Kathy. So those are the recommendations. Now we go.
Now we go.
Oh, so, Nikki, I just want to say thank you for your report.
Kia ora.
Kia
A
ora.
pleasure. A pleasure.
And we look forward to working together again on this wonderful project.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay. Are there any other report? No. No other report?
No public excluded.
No
reports?
public excluded report. Now we're going to come to board member updates. Who would like to go first?
No, nothing.
In you go, Richard.
Nothing from you, Dave? Okay, that's okay.
Chicken in again.
We'll come to you, Jeff. Any
Nothing
report?
from me, but I thank you, Hinga, for filling in to me while I'm lying here on my hospital bed.
Oh,
And I appreciate your all board members' robust debates on everything. You're a good board. Thank you.
oh. Kia ora, Jeff. Thank you. You're looking wonderful for someone that's in the hospital.
No, I'm not at all.
Kia ora, Richard, any reports?
I had some interesting phone calls regarding our trees, of course, but I had got to say that none of them were nasty or yuck or anything like that. There was just people seeking discussions. So it's been an interesting time. I don't usually get a lot of phone calls, but certainly got inundated with a few of them. But as I say, nothing was yucky, nothing was no unpleasantness as far as I was concerned.
So just Chair, if you don't mind.
I have a
Just a moment, Dave. I'll
I
come
have
back to you.
no, that's all. I'm all good.
Okay.
That'll do me.
Okay, so I'll come back. I'll come to you,
I was
Dave.
just going to say, I think we would discuss the tree thing in the registration, resolution register rather than in our board member updates.
You, that's,
Just to get Mark's on standby too, just to give you an update. Yep.
Yeah, Mike, so I think it's a briefing.
It's going to be part of our briefing. Kāwhia. Awesome. Kia ora for that, Richard. I'll come to you, Kit, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, it's been a pretty busy March, pretty much based around what's happening with Water Done Well. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes that I'm sure elected members don't fully appreciate the amount of effort that's gone into this by the staff. So we need to record our thanks for that. So yes, I think primarily around Water Done Well, and then I guess we're leading up now to the annual budget, annual plan which has got to be done by the 30th of June. Yeah. There were a number of meetings during the month. I went to the obviously council meetings. We had a risk and assurance meeting, and I attended a seminar down in Wellington. It was worth going to, though I thought some of the speakers were a little bit wishy-washy, particularly one of the under secretaries. I didn't think he knew too much about what he was talking about, to be honest. Yeah, so other than that, no, it's been all go. Just we'll talk about the trees perhaps when we get to the resolution. Thanks.
Well, thanks for your report, the Kit. My turn. So I just made a couple of notes. Attended the Pokai up at Waipapa, of course, because it's my marae. So it was great to see the Otorohanga District Council come along to the Pokai, Max and the crew. I was quite overwhelmed as going through the line who was coming around. So that was awesome to see that and come along to our marae. So thank you. Also attended the karakia attended and organised the karakia at the Lako on the morning, and Richard and myself were there representing the Kāwhia Community Board. And I just wanted to, as I had mentioned, I've been working, so this project here has been quite a few months in the making, when I had proposed the slow down sign as you come into Kāwhia to fit in with our branding, and also to add our reo into the sign as well. So I worked with the design work is working in with the same people that actually put the same company that put the frame together, and also our two signs on each end. This isn't a final. I just thought I'll bring them along just to give you some ideas on what I'm looking at. And this is the design that we've been working on with all our boards here. And I've just put some pictures in just to get an idea on what that may look like, if it looks too busy or whatever. And also, you know, the colouring and everything. So I'll just pass those around. But I can also, but this is just to give you an idea that I'm working, kind of the concept that I'm working on. The kind of the concept that we're working on with Ata Haere and Slow Down. And I think with the point of difference with us in Kāwhia, you can get the standard signs, the yellow signs and everything, but let's add our spin and our look to the signs that we're having. So this is as you come in. Ka pai? I will, at the next hui, I'll come back with some more design work and also the costings. I'll measure it up and get it.
So will this come out of the discretionary fund as well?
Well, I'll see how much it comes to. I can't see it being up because there's only one board that's getting made up. But let's have a look at the costings first, and then we can go from there.
Just through you, Chair Tony, the road signage needs to be approved by NZTO, is that correct? Or not?
So is this where the Sylvester Cat?
Yes.
I think that's council road. Okay. So that would be through Paul.
Right, okay, good.
If it's on the road, it says.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, that sorts that problem out. And also, is it intended, Hinga, to have the council logo or
Yes.
on the district council on it?
Yes, we can do that.
Yep.
Does that have to, like, is it on that one there that's there now? I can have a look.
Okay, no, I don't think it is. No.
But we can have a look at it at the design. That line in the centre won't be there. I don't know why they put that there.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Combination of those two.
Yeah. So
The impact.
we can progress. Cool. I'll email you, Jeff.
Certainly, and hang on, can I just say, Kāwhia has a unique little opportunity here to get bilingual right, you know?
Yes.
And when I look at your input into the sign for the beach access, you know, you got that right, you know, and that's why it was important to me that anyone that has input into signage and branding at Kāwhia talks to the people of Kāwhia before they do things.
Yes. I've got a husband that is that translates and that writes Māori and is an editor and a proofreader. So it comes in handy.
It does. You do well, but it makes me get out and get the Google going. So I appreciate it.
Just me. So kia ora. But that's my report for today. Now we are going to go on to the discretionary fund. Now, did everybody receive the email from Stephanie?
Yep.
And Kelly Barrett. Kapai? Okay, we'll have a discussion first. Okay, we'll discuss any discussion.
Oh, sorry, I only got the email, so I'm not.
Oh, okay. I can read it out. Okay. I am writing to read this. So this email came from Stephanie Green and Kelly Barrett. Dear Kaya, I am writing to request funding in the amount of $500 to cover the cost of 25 hall bookings for our local community health group, Kāwhia Hauora Group Club, during a temporary shutdown of our usual exercise location. This funding would allow us to continue offering our weekly exercise sessions and support the health and well-being of our members over the coming months. Our group plays a vital role in promoting physical activity, mental health, and social connection to residents of all ages within Kāwhia. As the winter months approach, it becomes increasingly difficult for members to exercise outdoors due to the weather, which is why it is important for us to find an alternative indoor venue to ensure our sessions can continue while these works take place. For many of our members, participating in regular exercise is an essential part of managing stress, combating depression, and maintaining overall well-being. Additionally, this group provides a much-needed sense of community, fostering strong connections among local residents and helping to combat social isolation. By securing a safe indoor space for our weekly sessions, we will not only continue to support the physical health of our members, but also provide them with the emotional benefits of staying active and engaged with their peers. The requested $500 will cover the cost of 25 hall bookings, enabling us to continue meeting during this period of uncertainty. This will ensure that our group can remain active and that our members will continue to experience the physical, mental, and social benefits that our sessions provide. We deeply appreciate the Community Board's ongoing support and hope you will consider our request to help us maintain the health and well-being of our members during this temporary disruption. Should you need any further information or wish to discuss this request in more detail, please do not hesitate to reach out. Thank you for your time and consideration. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions. Yours sincerely, Steph. Kapai? Now, is there any discussion?
Well, I think it's a very worthwhile what they're doing. I understand that they were using the veranda outside the school, you know, the open veranda. But, you know, with winter coming on, that's not going to be a runner for them. So, and I think what they're asking for is 25 sessions in here, $20 session, which is your $500. And I think, from memory, I think Dr. John may have been funding that at one stage, or partly funding it, but I don't know whether that funding's still available. So I'd totally support that. I think that's a very good use of your discretionary fund.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, Kit. Kia ora, Richard.
You've mentioned the two names, but these folk represent an organisation. What's the organisation?
So Stephanie Green and what's her name? Kelly Barrett. So the two young wahine that were here just before, that's who they are. They don't belong to, they are a group of people, when I was speaking with them, they're a group of people that come together to exercise. They don't belong to any entity, they're just a group of people that come together.
And I understand they're getting a dozen or more coming along to each session, and it's getting bigger every time.
And they get a cross section of ages too. Listening to them. Okay, thank you, Richard. Kia ora, Jeff.
I'm happy to abstain from the vote. My wife was a member of this group, but to give some background to it, this started in the spring of last year, August, September, and they're using the veranda of the Kāwhia school. And my wife has just been astounded that it's gone so long. It's a vibrant group with young mothers and young children and young men around Kāwhia all joining in. It's professionally well done. If you go onto their Facebook and have a look at Kāwhia Water Club, go there and have a look at the vibrancy of this group. They're not tied up with any of the Dr. John funding. They're on their own. So they're not paying for the school, but as the winter months approach, they obviously have to maintain the momentum that's involved in this group, and they need to find somewhere, at least with a roof over their head, and until they can find something a bit more permanent with in terms of health funding. So they approached me through my wife, and I suggested that this could be a good use of Kāwhia Community Board's discretionary fund. Go onto their Facebook. The age groups that are in there are from my wife, who's a senior, to young professional firefighters that have come out of their shell, and volunteer firefighters in Kāwhia that have joined this group. It's a good group, and it's not going to go away. And if we can support it and make it grow stronger, then I think this is exactly what the Kāwhia Community Board Discretionary Fund is all about. And I will obviously abstain from the vote, but it's a good use of funding, Dave.
Kia ora for your kōrero, Jeff. Kia ora, Dave.
I think it's a great idea too. We had lost the facility where we had the fitness thing for the elderly people up at the sports club, and they moved up to the golf for a while, but it hasn't been so successful up there. And I think it's just getting up there early, and it's a bit much for someone, even in their cars. But yeah, I fully support this. I think, well, you know, we're not actually just giving them cash; we're just paying for the hall hire, aren't we? So, you know, it's
Thank you. Kia ora. Yes, I fully support this, and I would actually like to move that we accept their proposal of $500. And can I have a seconder? Richard? Thank you.
Through the chair, can I make an amendment? I'm not allowed to make an amendment, am I, Tony?
An amendment?
Yeah.
Do you want 5,000?
No. I'm just thinking, no, with the increase in hall charges that's coming along, we've just approved a doubling of hall charges. So maybe we should approve 25 for all hires.
That's a good point. So the term of this request is for 25 sessions.
Yes.
Will that kick in? And the question is, will that kick in after 1 July when the new hall charges are up? Do we know that?
Well, the new hall charges go down for non-profit community groups.
No, they're going up. They're going up.
$35 for non-profit group here. Read your paper. It's $40 at the moment. It's going down to 35.
Non-profit.
So Jeff's proposal was, rather than approve $500, you approve 25 hall hires, whatever that comes up to. At the moment, it's 500.
Given that at this moment they're meeting 8 times a week.
Okay. Kia ora, Richard.
Through the chair, I think the position of approving the $500, if the charges change, whatever, if they've got to come back and ask for more, pretty unanimous support here. So I think the proposal is to approve $500. I support that proposal. I don't want an unknown amount, because we didn't want with the last one. So I support the 500. If they need to come back to us, there's no shame coming back. There's no issue.
Can I do So I'll start again, I'll go back. I would like to support the amount here of $500. So I'd like to move this. Can I have a seconder? Richard, everybody agree? Aye. Anybody opposed? Carry. Kāwhia. Awesome.
Thank you, team.
Oh, so who gets in touch with, who will respond to this email?
So leave it with us. Kathy's taken a note of it. It's come through to Kāwhia, so when Kāwhia's back in, it should be able to respond.
They would be very happy to hear the great news that come right. So we'll leave that with the council. Yeah. Okay, can I leave this with,
Yep. So there's only two resolutions on the register, that are in front of you. So the first one's an old one going back to 2021. That was around the recreational commercial use of Kāwhia Wharf. Graham's updated this. I think it's Graham has updated this for the proposed charges which he's presented to you. So there's no further staff updates on that one. And the second one is an update for you around the removal of Kāwhia trees. So that explains the process. And I guess just around a commitment to progress with something. And Mark is happy and available to brief you after the meeting's closed.
Fine. All good? Okay.
We got a report from Mark on the thing.
No, he'll just give you a little breakdown.
So we'll do that after we finish closing, when we post our meeting.
Yeah, obviously, I'll talk about it a little bit really.
Yeah. No,
Do that after.
we're going to go into that discussion. Fine. So, there we go. Okay, I'm going to close our hui. I'd just like to say thank you for everybody coming on this Thursday afternoon, taking time out, and for you to joining there, Jeff, and tēnā koutou, e hana mai te kaunihira o Otorohanga, no reira ka ingoa kia ingoa tātou. I'll do the karakia from our pukapuka nei. Ma te whakapono, ma te tumanako, ma te titiro, ma te whakarongo, ma te mahi tahi, ma te aroha, ka taia e tātou. Amini. Tēnā tātou. I declare the meeting closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.